The arena fell silent as the massive warrior collapsed to the ground. His blue blood pooled beneath him, mixing with the red sand of the combat floor. Above him stood Princess Hyjin, her silver blade still humming with energy. She had not even broken a sweat. The crowd of 200,000 aliens erupted in cheers. They always cheered for her. They had cheered 83 times before, and this was no different. Hyjin deactivated her blade and turned away from her defeated opponent. She did not look back. Winners never looked back. The princess wins again. The announcer's voice boomed across the grand arena. Champion Vex of the Talrix Confederation falls in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Hyjin walked toward the exit tunnel. Her crimson armor gleamed under the bright lights. The Valkyr people called her the Crimson Storm, and she wore the name with pride. She was the youngest daughter of Emperor Taesung, ruler of 47 star systems. She was also the most dangerous warrior in the Empire. Commander Sora waited at the tunnel entrance. She was Hyjin's personal guard and closest friend, though neither of them would admit the friendship part out loud. Valkyr warriors did not have friends. They had comrades. "Well fought, princess," Sora said, falling into step beside her. "He was slow," Hyjin replied. "His species relies too much on strength. No technique. No strategy. He was the champion of his entire confederation." "Then his people are weak?" They walked through the stone corridors beneath the arena. Guards saluted as they passed. Servants bowed low. Hyjin ignored them all. Her mind was already moving past this fight. Another challenger defeated. Another suitor found unworthy. In Valkyr culture, marriage was earned through combat. Any warrior who could defeat a member of the royal family earned the right to court them. It was an old tradition, dating back thousands of years to when the Valkyr were still fighting with metal swords on their home planet for 5 years. Warriors from across the galaxy had come to challenge Hyjin. They came from powerful families. They came with advanced weapons. They came with confidence and pride. They all left the same way, on stretchers. "Your father wishes to see you," Sora said quietly. Hyjin nodded. She had expected this. After every fight, her father wanted to talk. She knew what he would say. He always said the same thing. The Emperor's private chambers overlooked the arena. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the crowd below, still celebrating the latest fight. Emperor Taesung stood with his hands behind his back, watching his people. He was tall, even for a Valkyr, with silver hair that showed his age. But his body was still strong. All Valkyr remained warriors until death. "Hyjin," he said without turning around. 2 minutes and 47 seconds. "You are getting faster. He made it easy, father. They all make it easy for you." Now he turned to face her. His red eyes, the mark of the royal bloodline, studied her carefully. That is the problem. Here it comes, Hyjin thought. The same conversation they had after every fight. "You need a mate," the Emperor continued. "You need an equal. Someone strong enough to stand beside you?" "I agree," Hyjin said. "When I find such a warrior, I will accept them. You have fought 84 challengers. You have defeated all of them. Perhaps your standards are too high. Perhaps the galaxy's warriors are too weak." Emperor Taesung sighed. It was a rare sound from him. Emperors did not sigh, but fathers sometimes did. "I do not want you to be alone, daughter," he said softly. "Power without companionship is a cold existence. I know this. Your mother taught me this before she died." Hyjin felt something twist in her chest. Her mother had been a warrior too, the strongest of her generation. She had died fighting a rebellion on the outer worlds when Hyjin was young. The Emperor had never remarried. He understood loneliness. "I do not want to settle, father," Hyjin said. "I want someone who can challenge me. Someone who can grow with me. Not someone I have to carry." "I understand." But a chime interrupted them. Sora stepped forward. "My Emperor, the diplomatic delegation has arrived. The new members of the Galactic Council are here for the Centennial Games." "Ah, yes." The Emperor's mood shifted. "The humans. I almost forgot. Humans?" Haijin asked. A new species, Sora explained. They were discovered 3 years ago. The council granted them provisional membership last month. This is their first official visit to our empire. Haijin had heard something about this. A small species from a backwater planet. They had barely survived their first contact with the galaxy. Most species did not survive first contact. The galaxy was not kind to the weak. Why are they coming here? Haijin asked. The Centennial Games, her father said. Every species sends representatives. It is tradition. Even the weak ones. The Centennial Games were held every 100 years. Warriors from across known space came to compete, to prove their worth, to show their species' strength. It was the greatest martial celebration in the galaxy. And Haijin would be the main attraction, as she had been for the last 5 years. Will they send a challenger? Haijin asked as Sora pulled up a holographic display. According to their files, humans are small, weak. They have no genetic enhancements, no natural armor, no advanced physical abilities. They survived first contact through hiding and running away. Cowards, Haijin said dismissively. Survivors, Emperor Taesung corrected. There's a difference. The Dalim swarm tried to exterminate them. The humans are still here. The Dalim lost 3 colony worlds trying. That made Haijin pause. The Dalim swarm were vicious. They did not negotiate. They consumed. For a weak species to survive them was unusual. How did they do it? She asked. Unclear, Sora said. The reports are strange. The humans used tactics no one had seen before. They struck from shadows. They destroyed supply lines. They made the Dalim fight on 1,000 fronts at once. Eventually the Dalim decided it was not worth the cost and left. Tricks and deception, Haijin said. Not real strength? Perhaps, her father said. But they are here now. They are council members. We will treat them with the respect due to any member species, even if they are small. 3 days later, the human delegation arrived. Haijin watched from a balcony as their ship landed in the Imperial spaceport. It was small, like them, practical, no decoration, no grandeur. Just function. The humans emerged in a group of 6. They wore simple uniforms, dark blue with silver markings. Haijin could barely see them from this distance. They were indeed small, barely reaching the chest height of an average Vok, or one of them looked up at the palace. Even from far away, Haijin felt his eyes find her balcony. He stared for a long moment, then looked away and continued walking with his group. Something about that moment bothered her. He had not seemed impressed. He had not seemed afraid. He had looked at the greatest palace in 47 star systems and simply moved on. Sora, Haijin said. Find out everything about the humans, especially their military attach. I want to know who we are dealing with. Yes, Princess. Haijin watched the humans disappear into the diplomatic quarters. The Centennial Games would begin in 1 week. Challengers from across the galaxy were already arriving. She would face them all, as she always did. She would defeat them all, as she always did, but something felt different this time. Something in the way that small human had looked at her palace and looked away, like he had seen it all before. Like he was not impressed, like he knew something she did not. The thought irritated her more than it should have. Haijin turned away from the balcony and went to prepare for the games. She had challenges to face, victories to claim. She had no time to think about small, weak humans who were probably just here to watch and learn from real warriors. No time at all. Dongwu stood in the diplomatic quarters and stared at the ceiling. It was 30 feet high, covered in gold and precious stones. Everything in this place was designed to make visitors feel small. It was working. Impressive, right? Jiwoo said beside him. She was the chief diplomat for this mission, and somehow she always sounded calm. Even here, surrounded by aliens who could crush them with one hand. It's wasteful, Dongwu replied. All this gold could build 3 colony ships? That's why you're military and I'm diplomatic. They're not showing off wealth. They're showing off power. Dongwu understood power. He had spent 10 years in Earth Special Forces, back when Special Forces meant fighting other humans. Then the aliens came and everything changed. First contact was supposed to be peaceful. Instead, Earth got the Dalim swarm of species that saw humans as nothing more than protein. The war lasted 8 months. Earth lost 2 billion people, but humans learned fast. They had to. When you are smaller and weaker than your enemy, you cannot fight fair. You fight smart. What's our schedule? Dongwu asked. Jiwoo pulled up a holographic display from her wrist device. Tomorrow we attend the opening ceremonies of the Centennial Games. The Emperor will give a speech. Various warriors will compete. We smile, we clap, we don't start any incidents. And the princess? She will fight 3 challengers during the ceremonies. A demonstration of Valkyr strength. I want to watch. That's why you're here. Intelligence gathering. Study their combat techniques. Figure out their weaknesses. Just in case. Just in case. Those words carried a lot of weight. Just in case the peace did not last. Just in case Earth needed to fight again. Just in case humanity had to prove it deserved to survive. Dongwu was good at finding weaknesses. During the Dalim War, he had led a strike team that destroyed 3 of their hive ships. Not through strength, humans did not have that. Through planning, through observation, through finding the one critical point and hitting it hard. Get some rest, Jiwoo said. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. But Dongwu did not rest. He spent the night reading reports about the Valkyr Empire. Their history, their culture, their military doctrine. Everything was about direct combat. Face your enemy. Prove your strength. Win or die trying. It was honest, Dongwu thought. But it was also predictable. And predictable meant exploitable. The opening ceremonies took place in the Grand Arena. Dongwu had seen pictures, but pictures did not prepare him for the reality. 200,000 aliens packed the stands. Dozens of species, all here to watch warriors fight. The human delegation sat in a small section near the arena floor. Other aliens stared at them. Some looked curious. Most looked amused. The small, weak humans who had barely survived first contact. What were they even doing here? Dongwu ignored the stares. He focused on the arena itself. The floor was sand, red like blood. The walls were smooth stone, 20 feet high. Above, a force field shimmered, protecting the audience from stray energy blasts. The lighting was bright, eliminating shadows. No cover, Dongwu muttered to himself. No terrain advantages. Pure fighting ground. What? Jiwoo asked beside him. Nothing. Just observing. The Emperor appeared on a high balcony. The crowd went silent immediately. Taesung was impressive even from a distance. He wore armor that seemed to be made of liquid metal, flowing and shifting across his body. His voice boomed across the arena without any visible amplification. Warriors of the galaxy, he began. Welcome to the Centennial Games. The crowd roared. Dongwu felt the sound in his chest. So much noise. So much excitement for violence. The Emperor spoke about honor and strength and tradition. Dongwu half listened. He was more interested in studying the arena's structure, the placement of exits, the response time of security forces. Then the Emperor said something that made Dongwu focus. Today, my daughter, Princess Haijin, will face 3 challengers. They come from across the stars, seeking the honor of courting the Crimson Storm. They will face her in single combat. They will give their all. And as always, she will show them the true meaning of Valkyr strength. The crowd went wild. Dongwu leaned forward. This was what he came to see. The first challenger entered the arena. He was massive, at least 9 feet tall, with 4 arms and rocky skin. According to the announcer, he was from the Granite Reaches, a species known for their incredible durability. Then Princess Haijin entered. She was tall for a Valkyr female, maybe 7 feet. Her armor was crimson, as her title suggested, and it seemed to glow with inner light. She carried 2 curved blades that hummed with energy. Her face was beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way. and her eyes even from a distance. Dongwu could see they were bright red. The fight began. Dongwu expected a competition. What he saw was an execution. The four-armed warrior attacked with incredible power, his blows shaking the arena floor. But Haijin moved like water, flowing around every strike. She did not waste movement. Every step had purpose. Every dodge set up her next attack. 3 minutes later, the warrior was down. Haijin had cut through his rocky skin like it was paper. She stood over him, not even breathing hard. The crowd screamed her name. Haijin did not acknowledge them. She simply walked to the center of the arena and waited for the next challenger. The second challenger was faster. A reptilian species with scales that reflected light, making him hard to see. He used twin energy whips that cracked like thunder. He lasted 5 minutes. Haijin adapted to his speed, predicted his patterns, and finished him with clinical precision. The third challenger was the most interesting. A female warrior from a species called the Zenthi. She used ranged weapons, energy rifles that fired bolts of compressed plasma. Smart, Dongwu thought. Keep distance, use superior firepower, but Haijin closed the distance in seconds. She used the arena obstacles for cover, moved in unpredictable patterns, and suddenly she was inside the Zenthi's defensive range. The blades flashed. The fight was over. She is good, Dongwu said quietly. Good? Jiwu replied. She is terrifying. Did you see how fast she moved? How precise. And she barely tried, I saw. Dongwu's mind was already breaking down what he had witnessed. Haijin was incredibly skilled, yes. But her tactics were straightforward, aggressive, overwhelming. She relied on being faster and stronger than her opponents. What would happen if she faced someone she could not overpower? The ceremonies continued. More fights, more demonstrations of strength. Dongwu watched it all, memorizing details. The Valkyr fighting style emphasized direct engagement. They had no concept of retreat. Every warrior advanced until they won or fell. After several hours, the ceremonies ended. The human delegation stood to leave. That was when it happened. A Valkyr warrior, drunk on victory wine, stumbled toward them. He was young, maybe a low-ranking soldier looking to make a name for himself. He blocked their path and laughed. Humans! He slurred. I heard about you. The tiny ones. The weak ones. The ones who run and hide from real fights. Excuse us, Uwu said diplomatically. We need to pass. I will let you pass, the warrior said, if one of you can push me aside. Come on, little human. Show me your strength. The other delegates looked nervous. This could become an incident. The warrior was drunk and stupid, but he was still Valkyr. One punch could kill a human. Dongwu stepped forward. I will move you, he said calmly. The warrior laughed. You? You are, what, 5.5 feet tall? I could break you with one hand. Then try, Dongwu said. The warrior's smile faded. He had not expected acceptance. Drunk or not, he understood he had been challenged. And Valkyr never backed down from challenges. Fine, he growled. He lunged forward, his massive fist aimed at Dongwu's head. Dongwu moved. Not away from the punch, but toward it. He stepped inside the warrior's reach, grabbed the extended arm, and used the Valkyr's own momentum against him. A joint lock, a twist, and suddenly the warrior was face down on the floor, his arm bent at an impossible angle. Do you yield? Dongwu asked quietly. The warrior tried to move, but Dongwu applied more pressure. The warrior gasped in pain. I yield, he shouted. Dong-Wu released him and stepped back. The warrior scrambled away, clutching his arm, his face a mixture of pain and humiliation. The corridor had gone silent. Other aliens stared in shock. A human had defeated a Valkyr warrior. It had taken maybe 3 seconds? Let's go, Dongwu said to his delegation. They left quickly, but Dongwu could feel eyes on his back. He had made an impression. He was not sure if that was good or bad. What he did not know was that Princess Haijin had watched the entire exchange from a high balcony. She had come to see how the humans reacted to the games. She had expected fear, awe, maybe respect. Instead, she saw one small human defeat a Valkyr warrior without throwing a single punch. He had used technique, leverage, and the warrior's own strength against him. It was unlike anything she had seen before. "So Ra," she said, "who is that human?" Her commander checked her datapad. "Dongwu. Military attach. Special Forces background. Very little other information. Humans are secretive about their military personnel." "Find out more," Haijin ordered. "Everything you can?" "Yes, Princess." "May I ask why?" Haijin watched the humans disappear around a corner. "Because he fights like no one I have ever seen. And I want to understand how." What she really wanted, though she would not admit it even to herself, was to test him. The challenge came the next morning. A formal messenger arrived at the human quarters, carrying a sealed document written in 3 languages. Jiwoo read it with growing alarm. "She wants to fight you," Jiwoo said, looking at Dongwu. "Princess Haijin. She has issued a formal combat challenge. Can I refuse?" Dongwu asked. "Technically, yes, but it would be seen as cowardice. Earth would lose respect across the entire galaxy. We just got accepted to the council. We cannot afford to look weak." Dongwu took the document and read it himself. The language was formal, full of words about honor and strength. But the meaning was clear. The princess wanted to fight him in the grand arena in front of everyone. She wanted to prove that her victory over him was not luck. "When?" Dongwu asked. 3 days. It will be the main event of the Centennial Games." 3 days. Dongwu had fought on shorter notice before. During the Dalian War, he once had 15 minutes to plan an assault on a hive ship. 3 days was practically luxury. "I accept," he said. "Are you insane?" Jiwoo stared at him. "She has defeated 84 challengers. She is genetically enhanced. She has trained her entire life for combat. You saw what she did to those warriors." "I saw," Dongwu agreed. "I also saw her weaknesses." "What weaknesses?" "She was perfect. Nobody is perfect. She relies on speed and aggression. She expects her opponents to meet her head-on. She has probably never faced someone who refused to fight her way. And you think you can beat her?" Dongwu was quiet for a moment. "I think I can survive long enough to not embarrass Earth. That is all we need, right? To show we belong here? Surviving is not winning. For humans, surviving is always winning." The news spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. A human had accepted Princess Haijin's challenge. The betting markets went crazy. Nobody gave Dongwu any chance. The odds were 100 to 1 against him. Some bookmakers offered 1,000 to 1. Humans across Earth watched the news feeds with a mixture of pride and terror. Their representative was going to fight the most dangerous warrior in the known galaxy. Either he would show that humans deserved respect, or he would die trying. Dong-Wu spent the 3 days preparing. He studied every recording of Haijin's fights he could find. He analyzed her movements, her patterns, her tactics. He watched how she adapted to different opponents, how she exploited their mistakes, and he found something interesting. Haijin had never fought a long battle. Her longest fight was 7 minutes. Most ended in under 5. She was used to overwhelming her opponents quickly. What would happen if someone could last longer? Would she have the endurance? Would her tactics adapt? He also studied the arena itself, the layout, the obstacles, the environmental controls. He requested the specifications and was surprised when he received them. The Valkyr saw no reason to hide this information. The arena was the arena. The fight was the fight. No tricks needed, but Dongwu built his entire combat philosophy on tricks the day of the fight arrived. Dongwu stood in the preparation chamber beneath the arena. He wore standard Earth combat armor, lightweight, flexible, designed for mobility rather than protection. He carried no weapons. Valkyr tradition said, challengers fought with provided weapons or their own hands. Dongwu chose hands. Ji-Woo came to see him before the fight. "The entire galaxy is watching," she said. 2 billion humans are watching. No pressure. Thanks, Dongwu said dryly. That helps. Listen, she said seriously. If it gets bad, yield. Do not die for pride. Earth needs you alive more than it needs you victorious. I will do my best. Your best might not be enough. She is— I know what she is, Dongwu interrupted gently. I have watched her for days. I understand what I am facing. And you still think you have a chance? I think I have a plan. Whether it works or not, we will find out together. The walk to the arena felt long. Dongwu could hear the crowd above, 200,000 voices creating a sound like thunder. He took deep breaths, centered himself. Fear was natural. Fear kept you alert. The trick was not to let it control you. He emerged into the arena, and the noise hit him like a physical wave. The stands were packed. Every species in the galaxy seemed to be represented. Giant screens showed his face to those too far away to see. He looked small on those screens, human, fragile dot across the arena. Princess Haijin entered from the opposite tunnel. She wore her crimson armor, and today she carried only one blade. A show of confidence, Dongwu realized. She thought she only needed one weapon for him. They walked to the center of the arena. Up close, Haijin was even more impressive. She towered over him by more than a foot. Her armor gleamed with energy shields. Her red eyes studied him with an intensity that would have made most people look away. Dongwu met her gaze steadily. Human, she said. You accepted my challenge. That takes courage. Or stupidity, Dongwu replied. Sometimes it is hard to tell the difference. She almost smiled, almost. I have watched recordings of your species' first contact. You survived the Dalim through hiding and ambush. Will you hide from me in this arena? If I can, Dongwu said honestly. Survival is my specialty. Then let us see how long you can survive. The referee, a neutral alien from a species Dongwu did not recognize, raised his hand. Combatants ready? They both nodded. Begin. Haijin moved first. She was fast, incredibly fast, closing the distance between them in a heartbeat. Her blade swept toward Dongwu's chest, a killing blow delivered with perfect form. Dongwu was not there. He had moved the moment the referee spoke, angling to the side. The blade passed through empty air. He kept moving, circling, keeping space between them, Haijin pursued. Her attacks came in combinations now, high and low, forcing Dongwu to dodge constantly. He did not try to block. Blocking that blade would cost him an arm. He just stayed ahead of it, using every bit of his speed and agility, the crowd murmured. The human was not fighting back. He was just running. It looked cowardly, but Dongwu was not running randomly. He was moving toward the arena obstacles, pillars of stone that rose from the floor. He reached one and used it as cover, the pillar between him and Haijin. She circled the pillar. He circled the opposite direction. They moved like that for several seconds, the pillar always between them. The crowd started laughing. This was not a fight. This was a game of chase. Haijin's eyes narrowed. She feinted left, then leaped over the pillar entirely, bringing her blade down where Dongwu should have been, but he had predicted the move. He had rolled away the moment she jumped, coming up near a different pillar. Haijin landed and turned to face him. Her expression showed the first hint of frustration. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Dongwu had not thrown a single attack. He just dodged, rolled, used the terrain, stayed barely ahead of her blade. And Haijin, for the first time in her life, could not land a clean hit. The crowd had stopped laughing. This was lasting longer than most of the princess's fights. The human was not winning, but he was surviving. And somehow, that felt significant. 15 minutes. Dongwu could see Haijin's breathing getting harder. She was fast and strong, but she had been moving at maximum intensity this entire time, chasing someone who would not engage. Swinging a blade that hit nothing but air. Dongwu was tired too. His legs burned. His lungs ached. But he had trained for endurance, for missions that lasted days with no rest, for survival when everything else failed. 20 minutes. Haijin was visibly frustrated now. She had never faced an opponent who simply refused to fight properly. Every warrior she had ever faced tried to match her strength. This human did not even try. He just moved. "Fight me," she shouted. "Stop running and fight." "I'm fighting," Dongwu called back. "Just not your way." Something changed in Haijin's eyes. Anger. She charged forward with pure aggression, abandoning technique for speed. Her blade moved in a blur of strikes, each one capable of cutting Dongwu in half, and finally she made a mistake. She overextended. Her forward momentum carried her a half step too far. For just a fraction of a second, she was off balance. Dongwu saw it. This was the moment. He stopped retreating and attacked. He went low, under her blade, and struck at her forward knee with precision. Not hard enough to break it. The armor prevented that, but hard enough to disrupt her balance. As she stumbled, he moved to her back. The one place her single blade could not easily reach, his arm wrapped around her throat. Not crushing, but controlling. A chokehold, cutting off blood flow to the brain. In seconds, she would pass out. In Valkyr combat, this would count as a submission, Haijin struggled. She was stronger than him, much stronger. But Dongwu had position. He had leverage. And most importantly, he had committed fully to this technique. Either it would work, or she would break free and kill him. The seconds stretched. Haijin's movements became weaker. Her blade fell from her hand, clattering on the arena floor. Her vision began to blur. She had a choice. Pass out and lose. Or tap out and surrender. For 5 years, she had never surrendered. For 5 years, she had never even come close. But this human had done something impossible. He had made her kneel, not through strength, through technique, through refusing to fight her way, through finding the one moment of weakness and exploiting it perfectly. Her hand moved to Dongwu's arm. 3 taps. The universal signal of submission. Dongwu released her immediately and stepped back. The Emperor's throne room was built to intimidate. Pillars of black stone rose to a ceiling lost in shadow. Guards lined the walls, each one a veteran warrior. And at the far end, sitting on a throne of polished metal, Emperor Taesung watched Dongwu approach with unreadable eyes. Haijin walked beside him. It had been 3 days since the fight, and the galaxy was still in chaos. Half the Valkyr Empire called the match invalid. They said humans must have cheated. They said no warrior could defeat the princes through technique alone. The other half saw something different. They saw adaptation. They saw evolution. They saw a fighting style they had never encountered before. "Dongwu of Earth," the Emperor said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "You have done something remarkable. You defeated my daughter in fair combat." "Your Majesty," Dongwu said carefully, "I had no intention of causing insult to your family or your people." "Insult?" The Emperor actually laughed. "You think victory is an insult? You think proving your worth is an insult? No, human. You showed courage, you showed skill. And by our laws, you have earned something." Dongwu had a very bad feeling about where this was going. "You have earned the right to court Princess Haijin," the Emperor continued. "By Valkyr tradition, any warrior who defeats a member of the royal family in honorable combat may seek their hand in marriage. It is our oldest law." The throne room went silent. Dongwu felt his stomach drop. He had studied Valkyr culture, but he had not really believed this part. It seemed too ancient, too strange. But looking at the Emperor's serious face, he realized it was very real. "Your Majesty," Dongwu said slowly, "I cannot accept this honor." Gasps echoed through the room. Beside him, Haijin went very still. "You refuse?" the Emperor asked. His tone was dangerous now. "I fought to prove humanity's worth," Dongwu explained. "Not to win your daughter's hand. I did not come here seeking marriage. I came here seeking respect." "And you have earned both," the Emperor said, "whether you wanted them or not. The law is clear. You have the right to court her. What you do with that right is your choice. But the right exists." Dongwu looked at Haijin. She was staring straight ahead, her face completely neutral. He had no idea what she was thinking. Did she want this? Was she insulted? Angry? Amused? "I need time," Dongwu said finally. To understand what this means. To consider my options. You have 7 days, the Emperor said. Then you must make your choice public. Will you court my daughter, or will you formally refuse the honor? Either way, the galaxy will know. The meeting ended. Dongwu and Haijin walked together through the palace corridors. Guards followed at a distance, giving them privacy while ensuring security. You could have just accepted, Haijin said quietly. Said yes to keep the peace, then done nothing. Nobody would have forced you to actually court me. Would that have been honest? Dongwu asked. No, but it would have been diplomatic. I am not a diplomat. I am a soldier. We say what we mean. Haijin stopped walking and turned to face him. You humiliated me in front of the entire galaxy. I defeated you, Dongwu corrected. There is a difference. Is there? I have never lost before. Never. Do you understand what that means? My entire identity was built on being undefeated, and you took that from me. Dongwu considered his words carefully. Your identity was built on a lie. Her eyes flashed with anger. Excuse me? Being undefeated does not make you strong, Dongwu said. It just means you have not faced the right opponent yet. Real strength is what you do after you lose, how you adapt, how you grow. You were not truly tested until someone defeated you. And you think you tested me? Haijin's voice was cold. I think I showed you that strength has many forms. That winning is not always about being the fastest or the strongest. Sometimes it is about being the smartest, the most patient, the most willing to do whatever it takes to survive. Haijin stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. It was a bitter sound. Do you know what the worst part is? You are right. I relied on my enhancements, my training, my natural advantages. I never had to think about combat as anything other than direct confrontation. You made me think, and I hated every second of it. But you learned, Dongwu said. Did I? You tapped out? You could have let yourself pass out, could have forced me to render you unconscious. But you acknowledged defeat. That takes wisdom. It felt like weakness. Sometimes wisdom feels like weakness, Dongwu said, until you survive because of it. They continued walking. Despite everything, Dongwu found himself liking Haijin. She was proud and fierce, but she was also honest. She did not hide behind excuses or blame others for her defeat. She owned it, even if it hurt. What will you do? She asked. In 7 days? I do not know yet. What do you want me to do? Haijin paused. I want to understand how you fight, how humans survived. Your species was nearly exterminated, yet here you are, sitting on the Galactic Council. How? We adapted? Dongwu said simply. We changed our tactics. We refused to fight the way our enemies expected. We made them uncomfortable, unpredictable. We survived by being willing to do whatever it took. Show me, Haijin said suddenly. What? Show me. Teach me. I want to understand your way of combat. Maybe then I will understand why I lost. Before Dongwu could answer, alarms blared throughout the palace. Guards immediately surrounded them, weapons drawn. Commander Sora appeared from a side corridor, her face grim. Princess, we need to get you to safety, she said urgently. There has been an attack. What kind of attack? Haijin demanded. Assassins. They targeted the diplomatic quarters. The human delegation. Dongwu's blood went cold. Jiwoo? Alive, Sora said. But injured. The attackers are still active. We are evacuating all foreign delegates to secure locations. Who sent them? Haijin asked. Sora hesitated. We believe it was General Kyungsu's faction. They see the humans' victory as an insult to Valkor honor. They want to start a war. Dongwu was already moving. Where is my delegation? The East Wing, but you cannot go there. The assassins are between me and my people, Dongwu finished. Then I need to go through them. You just fought the princess 3 days ago, Sora protested. You are not at full strength. You will die. Maybe, Dongwu agreed. But they are my people. My responsibility. I will not abandon them. Then you will not go alone, Haijin said. She turned to her guard. Get me my armor and blade, now. Princess, you cannot, Sora began. Cannot what? Cannot help defend guests in our own palace? Cannot. Protect the warrior who defeated me fairly? What kind of princes would I be if I hid while others fought? The guard ran to obey. Haijin turned to Dongwu. You want to show me human tactics? Here is your chance. We fight together or not at all. Dongwu wanted to argue. This was not her fight. But looking at her determined expression, he realized she would not be swayed. And honestly, he could use the help. Valkyr assassins were no joke. Fine, he said. But we do this my way. No charging in. No direct confrontation unless necessary. We move smart. Lead the way, human, Haijin said. Teach me how you survived. Minutes later, they were moving through the palace corridors. Haijin wore light armor and carried her blade. Dongwu had acquired a simple energy pistol from a guard. It was not much, but it was better than nothing. They moved slowly, checking corners, avoiding main passages. Dongwu explained as they went. Assassins expect direct routes, he whispered. They set ambush at obvious choke points. So we use the servant corridors, the maintenance tunnels, the paths nobody thinks about. That is cowardly, Haijin said automatically. Then she paused. No, it is smart. Why fight through ambush when you can avoid them? Exactly. They encountered their first assassin near the east wing. He was guarding a corridor watching for guards or delegates. He never saw them coming from the ventilation shaft above. Dongwu dropped on him silently, a quick strike to a nerve cluster rendering him unconscious. You did not kill him, Haijin observed. Did not need to. Unconscious enemies are just as neutralized as dead ones, and they can be questioned later. They moved deeper into the east wing. Smoke filled the hallways from fires set by the assassins. Dongwu led them through it, using it as cover rather than obstacle. You use everything, Haijin said. The terrain, the environment, even the enemy's own advantages. You turn weapons against their wielders. Yes, Dongwu said, that is the human way. We are not strong enough to fight fair, so we do not fight fair, we fight smart. They found the human delegation barricaded in a conference room. Jiwoo had a burn across her arm, but she was directing the defense. 4 other humans were with her, armed with makeshift weapons. Outside the room, 6 assassins prepared to breach the door. 6 against 2, Haijin whispered. What is your plan? We even the odds, Dongwu said. He pointed to the ceiling supports. Can you cut through that beam? Haijin looked up, understanding dawning in her eyes. Yes, it will collapse on them. Then on my mark. Dongwu fired his pistol at the assassins, drawing their attention. They turned toward the sound, raising weapons. At that moment, Haijin cut the support beam. The ceiling collapsed, crushing 3 assassins instantly and pinning 2 others. The last assassin remained standing, but now he faced 2 opponents instead of an undefended door. Haijin moved to engage him, but Dongwu stopped her. The garden on the palace roof was Haijin's favorite place. It was the only location where she could be alone, where the weight of being a princess did not press down on her shoulders. She sat on a stone bench, staring at the 3 moons rising over the capital city. Footsteps approached. She did not need to turn around to know who it was. Dongwu moved differently than Valkyr, lighter and quieter. Commander Sora said I would find you here, he said, sitting down beside her. She talks too much, Haijin replied, but there was no anger in her voice. Tomorrow is the 7th day, Dongwu said. I need to give my answer to the Emperor. I know. They sat in silence for a moment. It had been a strange week. They had trained together every day, Dongwu showing Haijin human combat techniques while she taught him Valkyr traditional forms. They had talked about their cultures, their histories, their very different views on strength and honor. And slowly, something had changed. What started as mutual respect had become something deeper, not romance, not yet, but connection, understanding. The recognition of a kindred spirit. General Kyungsu's trial concluded today, Haijin said. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. 37 other conspirators were arrested. My father is using this to reform the military. The old guard is being replaced with warriors who value intelligence as well as strength. That is good, Dongwu said. It is because of you. Your victory over me, your tactics during the assassination attempt. You showed the Empire that there are other ways to fight, other ways to win. I just did what humans always do, survive. Haijin turned to look at him. Why did you really accept my challenge? You knew the risk. You knew you might die. Kiwu told me Earth would have accepted your refusal. So why did you fight me? Dongwu was quiet for a long moment. Because I was tired of being seen as weak. My whole species was tired of it. We survived the Dalim, but everyone saw that as luck. We got onto the council, but everyone treated us like charity cases. I wanted to prove that humans deserve to be here. That we are not just survivors. We are warriors too. Just different warriors. And did you prove it? I think so. After our fight, 5 different species requested human military advisors. The Galactic Council upgraded Earth's status from provisional to full membership. And nobody calls us weak anymore. They call us dangerous, unpredictable, smart. They are right, Haijin said. You are dangerous. Just not in the way they expected. Is that a compliment? Yes, she smiled slightly. Coming from me, it is a very high compliment. More silence. Then Haijin spoke again, her voice softer. What will you tell my father tomorrow? I do not know yet, Dongwu admitted. This past week has been unexpected. I came here to observe, to gather intelligence, to make sure Earth was not walking into a trap. I never expected to fight you. I never expected to win. And I certainly never expected to like you. Like me? Haijin raised an eyebrow. Respect you, Dongwu corrected quickly. I respect you. You could have been bitter about losing. Instead, you wanted to learn. That takes real strength. The kind that has nothing to do with muscles or enhancements. I spent 5 years undefeated, Haijin said quietly. 5 years where every opponent was predictable, every fight was the same. I won because I was faster, stronger, better trained. But I was not growing. I was stagnant. Then you came along and forced me to think, forced me to adapt. You freed me from my own success. Is that why you want me to stay? Dongwu asked. Haijin met his eyes. I want you to stay because I think we can learn from each other. Your people have something mine have forgotten, the ability to adapt, to change, to find new answers to old problems. And my people have something yours need, structure, tradition, thousands of years of accumulated wisdom. Together we could build something new, something stronger than either culture alone. That is very logical, Dongwu said. Is that all it is to you? Logic? Dongwu looked out at the moons. No, it is more than that. I find you interesting, Haijin. You challenge me. Not just in combat, but in thought. When we talk, you do not accept easy answers. You push for understanding. That is rare in any species. So what is stopping you from accepting the courtship? Haijin asked. Fear, Dongwu admitted. Fear that I cannot be what you need. Fear that I will fail your expectations. Fear that I am just a soldier who got lucky one time, and eventually that luck will run out. You think luck defeated me? Haijin's voice was sharp. No, but I think you are the princess of the most powerful military empire in the galaxy, and I am just one human from a species that barely survived first contact. The gap between us is vast. Then let us close that gap, Haijin said. She turned to face him fully. I am not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I am not asking you to give up your life and become Valkyr. I am asking you to teach me, to show my people what you showed me. And in return, I will help you understand our culture, our technology, our ways. We will be partners, equals. What happens beyond that? We will discover together. And if it does not work? Dongwu asked. Then we will have tried something new. And trying is better than standing still. Dongwu studied her face. Princess Haijin, the Crimson Storm, undefeated warrior of the Valkyr Empire. She had everything: power, status, strength. But what she wanted was growth, challenge, someone who would not simply agree with her but would push her to be better. Maybe that was what he wanted too. All right, he said finally. I will accept the courtship, but on one condition. Name it. This is a partnership of equals. I do not bow to you. You do not bow to me. We respect each other's cultures, but neither of us surrenders who we are. Agreed? Haijin smiled. It was the first real smile Dongwu had seen from her. Agreed, though I warn you, my father will expect certain formalities. I can handle formalities. As long as they are just for show, then we have a deal. They shook hands, and Dongwu felt something settle inside him. This was right. Strange, unexpected, complicated, but right. The next day, Dongwu stood before Emperor Taesung and the gathered Valkyr court. Hundreds of nobles watched with curiosity and skepticism, a human courting their princess. It was unprecedented. Dongwu of Earth, the emperor said formally, you have had 7 days to consider. What is your answer? Will you accept the right to court Princess Haijin? I accept, Dongwu said clearly, not because I defeated her in combat, not because tradition demands it, but because I believe your daughter and I can learn from each other. We come from different worlds, different cultures, different philosophies, but that difference is strength, not weakness. Together we can show the galaxy that growth comes from understanding, not domination. The court murmured. This was not the answer they expected. Most warriors would have spoken of honor, of duty, of the princess's beauty and status. Dongwu spoke of learning, of partnership. Emperor Taesung studied him for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. You are an unusual warrior, Dongwu of Earth, but perhaps unusual is what the galaxy needs right now. I approve this courtship. Let it be known that Princess Haijin and Dongwu of Earth are formally partnered, with all rights and responsibilities that entails. The declaration went out across the galaxy within minutes. Reactions were mixed. Some species saw it as weakness, the mighty Valkyr diluting their bloodline with inferior genetics. Others saw it as wisdom, two powerful cultures coming together. On Earth, the news was celebrated. A human had not just survived in the galactic community, he had thrived. He had earned a place at the highest levels of one of the most powerful empires in known space. But Dongwu and Haijin did not pay much attention to the political reactions. They were too busy with their real work. Haijin began spending time on Earth, learning human history and culture. She was fascinated by humanity's ability to survive impossible odds. The wars they had fought against themselves. The disasters they had overcome. The way they adapted and changed and refused to give up. Dong-Wu spent time in the Valkyr Empire, studying their military traditions and technological achievements. He was impressed by their discipline, their honor codes, their commitment to excellence. But more importantly, they trained together. They developed a new fighting style that combined Valkyr strength with human adaptability. Haijin learned to think tactically, to use environment and psychology as weapons. Dongwu learned traditional forms and the value of direct strength when properly applied. Other warriors began asking to train with them. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. Word spread that the princes and the human were teaching a new way of combat, a way that valued both power and intelligence. Commander Sora became their first official student. She had always been curious about other cultures, and now she had permission to explore that curiosity. She traveled to Earth with Haijin, met human soldiers, learned their tactics. Your species is insane, Sora told Dongwu one day. You fight battles you cannot win, face enemies you cannot defeat, and somehow you survive. How? Because we have no choice, Dongwu said simply. We cannot afford to give up, so we find a way. Anyway, every time. That is terrifying, Sora said. Yes, Dongwu agreed. But it is also why we are still here. 6 months after the challenge, Dongwu and Haijin stood in a training arena, sparring. They moved together now with practiced ease, each knowing the other's patterns and adapting constantly.